ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, as promised, I'm going to be continuing the Prom Night film series, which, frankly, I'm doing with a whole lot of dread because I hated that first fucking Prom Night movie. That plotless, inane bullshit that tried to pass itself off as a slasher film. Well, they did make a couple of sequels. And the first one apparently has nothing to do with the original Prom Night outside of the title. And not only that, it's also a horror comedy, which I'm totally cool with that. I prefer horror comedies over straight horror movies anyway. This one came out in 1987, and the title is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. I'd like to say right now, that title, it kind of sucks, but I will at least give it points for rhyming, so yay. I'd like to say right now, I have not seen a single trailer for this one. I know nothing about it, except this one stars Michael Ironside. And I didn't know that until I sort of glanced at the back here and his name sort of popped up. So, yeah, that's all I know, is that Prom Night 2 apparently is, or my fault, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, is apparently a horror comedy, and it stars Michael Ironside. And thank fuck, it apparently has nothing to do with the original Prom Night. Which, frankly, that right there, all by itself, totally a positive. But I want to know if this is going to be able to improve on that positive. The only way to find out is if I quit stalling and I push play. So why don't I do that right now? So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Okay, I have to ask this guy, so apparently it's totally justifiable for you to murder the prom queen during the prom with tons of witnesses. You can set the prom queen on fucking fire in front of numerous witnesses, and you don't go to jail. No. About 30 years later, you become the principal of that fucking school. How the fuck does that even work? I mean, wow, I'm kind of floored by that. So if you kill the prom queen, you become the principal. I guess maybe I should have crashed my own prom. Maybe I'd have a better job right now. Is this preacher really trying to turn a burial service into a soapbox against violent television? I swear to fuck he mentioned violent TV during his speech as they're burying this, girl. That is fucking tasteless on a whole host of fucking levels, dude. Yeah, guys, that officially is the creepiest fucking rocking horse I have ever seen in any movie, ever. That thing is creepy enough to cause fucking nightmares all by itself. Just want to share that. Okay, so it is established that people know that he murdered her 30 years ago. Why isn't he in jail, and why is he the principal of the school that he killed the prom queen? God damn it. That's still bothering me. I swear to fuck, it really is. So instead of escaping the locker room and avoiding your would-be rapist, I guess, you're gonna hide in a locker. In the same locker room where you were being chased. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I'm not going to say that's at all retarded in the slightest. Okay, that was the coolest death of this entire fucking movie. And yes, hiding in that fucking locker was the dumbest thing she could have fucking done. That was awesome. Alright guys, you know what? Now, when I started watching this, I was just sort of getting a feeling that this whole plot was sort of ripped off from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. This scene makes it almost painfully blatant and Really, I'm just gonna say this. If you were gonna rip off of a Nightmare on fucking Elm Street movie, why the fuck would you rip off the worst one? I'm really curious now. So not only is this film's plot ripped off almost wholesale from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the ending is almost lifted entirely from Nightmare on Elm Street 1. God, fuck this movie. No, shut up. Well, guys, that was Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, and, wow. Okay, where to start? Well, I guess first things first. To whoever told me that this sequel was a horror comedy, you are going to hell for lying. This was in no way a horror comedy. It never once tried to be funny. So that much is worth mentioning. It was not in any way a horror comedy. They may have been talking about the third one. I could easily be totally mistaken as to which one I was told was a horror comedy, but I know one of these is, and I'm kind of having hopes, because this sort of sucked too. So first of all, there is that. Before I get into the review itself, I should state this right now. Was this better than Prom Night 1? Yes, but a movie would probably have to actively punch me in the face to be worse than Prom Night 1. That plotless, lifeless, worthless shit heap, it sucked. So, frankly, anything would have been a fucking improvement. So, that's not saying much, but this is certainly an improvement. Now, I want to talk about the writing. I do want to touch on the writing. The story here is okay, but I know it's okay because it was the plot to Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I don't care that's the weakest entry in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It's still at least somewhat watchable. This thing here is lifting whole elements from that, including the rather awkward shower scene. That thing actually carries over into both. I had no idea I would be seeing that, and well, again, it just at some points it just feels like such a blatant knockoff that it's not even funny. But everything that isn't, actively trying to rip off the worst Nightmare on Elm Street entry is still okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but then the biggest problem is the plot holes. I mean, or rather the problem, or like plot holes are just big issues which I have. So, let me see if I understand this, and I know I've mentioned this a couple of times. So, back in 1957, you were dating the prom queen. She cheated on you at the prom, so when she's crowned prom queen, you decide to drop a stink bomb from a scaffold, and the lit fuse accidentally sets her dress on fire. There are tons of witnesses who see you do this because instead of trying to escape the scaffolding and run, you stay there and scream at people to try to put the fire out. So, there were witnesses. They know you killed her. You don't spend a day in jail. No, instead, you become the principal. I kind of thought maybe during the application process they'd ask, weren't you the guy who set our prom queen on fire in 57? But apparently not. Okay, that's problem one. That's a big fucking problem. Problem two, which sort of ties into this. 30 years later, as principal of the school, you climb back up into the scaffolding at the 1987 prom, and you shoot the prom queen. Granted, she lives, but you shot the prom queen. That should be attempted murder. Again, never spends a day in jail. The police never even question him. Okay, so apparently in the world of Prom Night, you can fucking attempt to kill people or flat out burn people to death at the fucking prom, and the police do not care. Apparently the prom is the equivalent of the Wild West, okay? Where you can do whatever the fuck you want. Alright. So that is problem one. It's just the entire thing involving Michael Ironside's character and his many moments where, god damn it, he should have spent time in jail. All right, so we have all of that. Now, second one has to do with Mary Lou herself. Apparently, and I did not know this, but if you are the town bicycle, that allows your spirit to possess a drama club trunk for no other reason than it has the tiara, the cape, and the sash that you would have gotten if your rather bitter boyfriend didn't set you on fire during the prom. I'm going to say this right now. Now, the last time I checked, when it comes to ghosts, normally if they are going to possess something, it has to be something that they actually owned. It's usually some sort of like a spiritual connection. As far as I know, Mary, Lou was a bit too busy fucking everything which had a dick. I don't think she had the time to join the drama club. And as for the tiara, the sash, and the cape, well, she never actually possessed those. And her boyfriend torched her before she had a chance to get any of them, so I don't really think that she would have had the spiritual connection enough to actually actively possess those. But of course, all of her big power comes from the fucking trunk. And again, she was the town bicycle. She didn't have time to be part of the drama club. And of course, on top of that, they never even mention if she was part of the drama club. So maybe like a little scene mentioning that might have sort of alleviated that problem just a hair. All right, so we have all of that kind of shit. And I totally understand that all of that is petty and pointless, but god damn it, I love to pick out and point out the petty, pointless bullshit that bothers me whenever I watch these goddamn things. So, beyond all that, beyond the fact that the writing is, or rather the fact that the story is ripped off from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the fact that we have a school principal who apparently will never be arrested for anything he ever fucking does, besides the fact that we have a ghost who apparently is able to possess whatever in the fuck she wants in order to make her way back into the mortal world, beyond all of those problems, what few little glistening bits of interesting are in, what little glistening bits of actually solid writing is okay. Granted, that's maybe like a line here, a line there, but god damn it, that is plenty. Acting, I am not able to, bitch about. The acting in this is actually pretty good. The acting here is pretty solid, but again, that's partially because their script is just basically a cribbed version of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, so at least the story is sort of serviceable. And really there aren't any characters in here who are, like overly shallow or flat or lifeless. So there was plenty there for the cast to work with. It's just, again, I'm not going to dwell on writing anymore. Just, I've already spoken everything I want to say about that. But the acting here is okay. The acting here is not great, but it is at least serviceable, and that is the least I could have possibly asked for. Special effects in this movie are really decent. I mean, I have talked about the really creepy fucking, rocking horse. They have really good special effects where they turn a chalkboard or a mirror, and they just basically use, water to kind of give it a fucking, rippling effect. And it looks okay. I mean, the very fact that you know that it's water, that really sort of leads to a little bit of, special effects failure. But frankly, considering the fact that in 1987 you really couldn't have asked for much better, it was still pretty good. And honestly, I'm not going to fault them for that, because still, even then, I mean, even though that they're basically like using water, the fucking effect is still really good. Makeup effects in here are really good. Digital effects, what few of them are in here, which basically are the lightning that basically sort of like fires out of the computer and fries the fucking nerd. It is all really good. The makeup effects especially are really fucking good in this movie. So we have really good special effects. I do want to talk about the soundtrack, because that was one of my biggest faults with the original Prom Night, was that god-awful bullshit disco soundtrack. Because I hate disco. I despise disco with a fucking passion. Prom Night 2, because Mary Lou was prom queen in 1957, a whole lot of the soundtrack is 1957 doo-wop, rock and roll, all that. And it's really good 1950s music. So fuck, I am going to say this right now. The brightest, shiniest moment of this film is the soundtrack, which has been used for a lot of other movies, but god damn it, I'm going to find whatever positives I can here. And the only positive I can get so far, well, besides the soundtrack also, cinematography's good, lighting is good. I mean, this thing actually is filmed very, very well. We don't have that irritating, soft, really soft fucking focus we had with a lot of Prom Night 1. This thing actually looks as if it was shot with a camera that wasn't a piece of shit. So there is that. Lighting, well, I mean, like, lighting here is really good. Which also sort of ties into effects, because there is a whole lot of, like, backlighting and smoke effects and everything else, which all looks really good. All of that, of course, is helped out by decent fucking camera work and really good lighting. So this movie is good on a technical level. It's horrible on a writing level. That's kind of the best way to put it. It basically is pretty, and I have called other movies this, it basically is pretty, it is pretty looking shit. That's kind of the best way to sum it up. It basically is the closest you will ever come to totally shining a turd, okay? That's the best way I can put it. So, can I recommend Prom Night 2? No. Why? Because you can get a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and that is at least original, because this thing's just a shallow, nasty fucking knockoff of it, and not even a good knockoff at that. So, no, I cannot recommend Prom Night 2. I'm kind of hoping that the next two movies are at least, well, since this one was an improvement on the first, kind of hoping it continues to go up from here, but I kind of have my doubts. Anyway, guys, Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 came off of the Amazon wish list. The person who sent in this thing is my friend Carrie, and you can find her YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/FirefoxCarrie. Carrie? Again, I do thank you for sending in all 4 of these Prom Night movies. I've been really curious about these for quite a while. And frankly, I am going to say this right now, at least compared to the first one, this thing is fucking gold. Compared to almost anything else, though, this is basically a golden turd. So I'm not about to, say it's great, and I'm really not about to say it's bad either. If you really want to watch it, go right ahead and watch it. But if you can get a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, go ahead and watch that instead. Guys, I'm going to tell you, it fucking hurts to recommend a Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I didn't like that fucking movie. But frankly, if the choice is that or this, go for fucking Nightmare 2. Oh, God, that still feels horrible to say. Guys, I'm going to go sit down for a couple of minutes. I kind of have to process this. Wow, that movie was bad. Thankfully, though, it wasn't as bad as the first Prom Night, but still, fuck me, that was bad. Alright, so guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.